The Call Me Crazy Show episode I do not know, and I can't remember. That's how many it's been. But today is June 18th, Monday 2007. And first things first, I want to thank the End of Television, Marty, and TCCC for making the Call Me Crazy Show possible. And I want to give a big shout out, first of all, more than anything, is that Friday night, as you all know, me and Marty and the television Call Me Crazy, we are film fanatics. And on Friday night, we went to the Law to go see a special screening of Phantasm. Awesome. So Phantasm is a movie starring Angus Scrimm. Came out 79. Came out 79. And great horror film. It introduced the world to the floating sphere that opens up with these little knives and that cuts people's brains open through the forehead. Very cool. And the movie Phantasm, it starred this man called Angus Scrimm. And guess what? He was there in person, guys. And we met him and we took a photograph with him. Very nice guy. And for all you people who don't know who this is the tall man, aka the horror and chief villain in Phantasm. And you know what? When I was a kid, when I saw this in the early 80s, it was the stuff of nightmares. Because I had a thing about funerals. I hated funerals. I've been to so many of them. You know, I used to think about having my own funeral because I've been to so many funerals. But for some reason, when I was a kid, I always associated death. And when you died, you went to hell or heaven, for that matter, and you were about to meet this guy. So I remember for the longest time I had a lot of nightmares thanks to this guy. And so anyways, Friday night of last week we met him, we stood in line, and we met him. He gave us an autograph, and we chatted for a bit, if you will. We chatted for a bit, me and Marty took a photograph with him, and you know what, very nice guy. Very nice. You know, the only creepy thing that he did that night was that voice from the film. You know, I don't want to do it because I won't do justice to it, but he's a boy. Oh, he does it better, but he did that live in front of us. It made my skin crawl. But fucking awesome, this guy. Nice guy, Angus Scrimm. We met him, very nice, very cool. He's in town filming a movie. But it's been a good year. First we meet Judith O'Dea from Night of the Living Dead earlier this year in April. Before April, I guess. Or was it during April? I don't know, I don't remember and I don't care. But in April, we met Judith O'Dea from the Night of the Living Dead, the original movie, 1967 movie. We met her. Then we went to Coachella in California by Los Angeles, and we ran into and took a picture with Brian Poston. That was Rejects and Staples commercial. Very cool. And then a couple weeks later, we get to meet Angus Scrimm, aka Tall Man. What a fucking great year it's been so far. It's been going so well. You know, all I gotta say, seize the day when you can, because someday you might not be here. Because talking from experience, I've been there, done that, I've been around the block so many times I won't even talk about it anymore. But anyway, while we were in land waiting to meet this man, of course me and Marty would get chatting. There's a couple, maybe, I say 200 people, give or take. 200 people there waiting in line to meet, aka Tall Man. And me and Marty talking movies like we always do. And you know, and sure enough, it happens once again. The guy in front of us has a Phantasm car. He had the CUDA, the 1970 CUDA, by American Muscle Company, toy company called American Muscle, and they put out a couple years ago a Phantasm car. Very nice, very replica 1970 CUDA car. And the guy in front of us had one, and he had Phantasm DVD. And he's like, ooh, me and Marty are thinking, man, if this would have been a couple years ago, we all had that shit. Me and Marty had everything, tons of it. I mean, we were like the 4-year-old version. If you ever see that movie, we were like beyond that. We were beyond the toy collecting. But anyways, we don't do that anymore. But it was funny because we were talking about that, me and Marty, and said, man, if we had that stuff back then, we'd have been bringing in so much crap in. And so the guy in front of us had that toy car, and then he turns around, and he's hearing us talk. He turns around and he's like, hey, I know you, and I know you even longer. And of course, this fan, his name is Marty. How ironic is that? His name is Marty, and he's like, I see you guys on TV all the time. And before we know it, we're all having a group discussion with other people on the line about Phantasm and if the series is any good. People going to Phantasm 4, and see, the thing is about the whole event with the censored community and this kind of thing, because a lot of people believe that we're like, we have no lives, we live in a closet, you know, we still live with our mom, when that's not the point, you know what I'm saying. And Angus Grin, tall man, he treated each and every person, even though it's a 3-hour process, as a normal person. I told him I had a TV show here in town, and he's like, keep it up, young man. I was like, young man? I'm not even young anymore, but I guess I look young. But anyway, and then he gave Marty an inspirational talk too, and he wanted to know more, and all around good guy. But I want to give a big shout out to Marty from the Loft Friday night last week. I told you we'd give you a shout out. What's up, man, Marty? Thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and keep watching the show. And maybe I'll run into you to the next Loft Cinema Horror Spectacular. But anyway, dude, that was awesome. That was fun. And enough of that. Okay, now today is, like I said, June 18th. And now we stand in the war in Iraq. 3,500 dead, and then more than 20,000 wounded. Not good number, folks. Not good number. And the thing is, now American opinion on the war is so far left. It's like, you remember when the war began, everybody's like, let's go to war. Let's go to war, you know, doing that Roger Waters thing. And everybody was gung-ho. But now we're entering our 5th year in the war, and for what? There's nothing accomplished. Nothing. Remember when George Bush came down in the airman suit and he's like, mission accomplished? There's nothing accomplished. Nothing. The Iraqis are worse off than they are. The American military is so expanded, it can't control itself anymore because they're so, it's a monstrous orangutan bureaucracy. You know, the U.S. government. You know, and I'm not saying nothing about the U.S. government. I love the U.S. I'm an American citizen and I'm proud of it, and I ain't going to give that up. So I had the freedom of speech. But, you know, we should be grateful for a lot of things because, you know, a lot of people say, well, let's bring the troops home from Iraq. Let's bring them home and then let the Iraqi people deal with themselves. Okay, well, here's the two theories that I've been reading about and what people believe is like, what half of the American public thinks, okay, if we bring out the troops from Iraq, then the Iraqis going to deal with their problems and we'll get deal with ours, and that's that. But what people don't realize, and this is what Bush wants people to realize, is like, okay, do we keep the war up there or do we bring it home? Because if we pull out now, he's saying, this is what Bush theory is. If we pull out now, then we're going to end up bringing that war that's going on in Afghanistan and Iraq, the so-called war on terror, we're going to bring that home and we're going to be going through a lot more 9/11. That's the thing. You know, I do want the troops to come home, but I don't want to be asleep in my bed worrying about rocket going overhead and, you know, and I'm going to get the civilian collateral damage. You know, who's to say 20 years from now if the U.S. is not in the Civil War? You know, it's 2027. But imagine June 7th, or imagine June 18th, 2027. 20 years from now. And you know what? There ain't no Tucson because they got nuked in 2015. You know, 9 years from now, we don't even know it, but the big one hits here. And when I mean the big one, it's not the earthquake. It's like, we have Fort Huachuca, Davis Moss, then we have the nuclear silo at the U of A. We're prime target. So who ain't to say that 20 years from now it's going to be so different? Who said we're going to be doing the war on terror here in the U.S.? Imagine that. That all of a sudden, out of the blue, you know, an extremist religious group comes out of nowhere. It makes the Timothy McVeigh and their company look lame. It's like, oh, you guys are lame. Yeah, these terrorists, we're gonna screw shit up. So the theory is Bush believes if we pull out now, that's what's gonna happen in several years here in the U.S. The other half of the public believes that that will never happen, that things will be okay, and the Iraqi people can keep killing themselves, and we'll deal with our own problems such as homelessness and HIV/AIDS. At this point, it doesn't even matter. The wheel had been set in motion a long time ago. We just don't know it. It's a countdown. That's what it is. It's like, remember in Terminator 2, where they look, Linda Hamilton looking to the future, like 1997, Los Angeles, 20 million dead, and, right? Well, 10 years past that, and we're still alive. But imagine that, though, looking through the future and saying, you know what? In 12 years, Tucson ain't gonna be here. We got nuked. And that's a scary thought, folks, all because we set the wheels in motion by pulling out the truth of Iraq right now. It's a big problem. You can't solve it in one day. That's the thing. You can't solve it in one day. And what I would like to do if I was studying foreign policy and running the White House, I would say, you know what, let's bring in 10,000 little by little. Let's bring them home little by little until we left the cargo van and that's it. You know, let the Iraqis have their civil war. They don't want to call it a civil war, but that's what it is. Shiite Muslims versus Sunni Muslims. And at this point in my life and everyone's life, I don't care what if it is Shiite or Sunni. I just want their shit to get together so we can get it together. Because like I said, 9/11 ain't the last one, it ain't going to be the first one, and it's going to keep on happening. And see, when Bush steps out of the White House, let it be Barack Obama the next president, John McCain next president, they're going to have to deal with that fucking mess up there. And God bless every single U.S. troop up there in Afghanistan. And see, here's the thing in Afghanistan, we invaded there 6 years ago, still nothing solved. The Taliban is still there, they're still called the Taliban. We are doing something so wrong here, folks. But what can you do? Call me crazy.